Hi everyone, today we're going to do another video analysis, another race breakdown, this time of the Under-17 Women's Ski Final from state this year with both Logan and Kiara in it. Now one thing I've tried to impress upon everyone in these videos is not to take any of the comments as being negative, as I want them all to be constructive and positive. That's particularly relevant for ski paddling, because ski paddling is something that takes a long time to develop. There are a number of aspects, and even just the handling of the skis is quite hard. There are a couple of little things in here to look at which is relevant even for the most experienced open paddlers. So it doesn't matter if you're just learning a ski, you've only just got on there as an under 17, or you're an experienced open paddler. There's a couple of things that we can take away from all of these videos. So well done to both Kiara and Logan. Fantastic race, and hopefully you enjoy it. Okay, so here we are. We've got Kiara setting up in the middle of the field in pretty good depth water. Freezer just there, and if you look at Logan's ski on the right hand side here, she's in about mid shin depth water. And if you look at the rudder is quite shallow on the sand there, and as she goes over this next wave, just freeze it there and look at the rudder. The rudder's still kicked to the side from hitting the sand on that wave before. The issue with that, we go and jump on, her ski automatically spins that way. Now she does a really good job by giving herself a bit of room. If we go back and look at Kiara's start, Kiara gets on really fast, but the only problem is the two girls on either side of her jump forward, where Kiara tends to jump up and down. So without that forward momentum, they get that quarter of a length start on her, and she gets a little bit trapped in between everyone else. Fortunately, one of Kiara's biggest strengths is her speed off the line, so she does a great job to get up and running here and stay in the mix. Now if we go back and look at that start there at 50% speed, and we'll focus in on Kiara to start here, probably see that there's just a little bit too much paddling with the arms, which tends to happen in big races or if you're a little bit panicked. Just losing a little bit of rotation through the hips, a little bit of loss of leg drive. Now if we shoot across to Logan here, paddling quite well, one of the drills we really focused on, especially on a Friday afternoon, was to get that last stroke in before a whitewash hit, and then to reach over the back of the whitewash and lock onto clean water with your blade. So if you look at that sequence here, Logan did quite a good job, took that last stroke, leaned over the wave, reached over the wave, locked onto the water. Now that will become particularly evident coming up. If you watch the lead paddler out on the left here, takes the last stroke, basically the left stroke in the whitewash, doesn't lean back, doesn't reach over, and pretty much gets smashed. The girl in front of Logan to her immediate left does the same again. So just to slow it down to 25% speed here, and looking at technique, Logan's got quite good rotation through her hips, using her legs to drive the blade through the water. So she's using a lot of muscle groups to get that blade and accelerate it through. Again, if you watch the two girls on Logan's left, both sort of mistimed that wave. Freeze it there, Logan sort of mistimes this one with her right blade as well. Now fortunately it doesn't sort of really affect her too bad. If you see here just on the right of the screen, she pops over quite well. Kiara's in the middle, they're in heavy traffic, but both girls managed to get up and going quite quickly, which again, sort of testament to their speed. And one of the reasons that we do a lot of the start work even within the middle of the break. Unfortunately, Logan goes over that wave then and falls off. This isn't her, this is someone else. But when the video in a sec will see from that aerial shot, you can see how the packs are starting to form. So when we do wash lead sessions where we've got people in diamond formations, and regardless whether it's an under 17, under 19 open, you have a group of 3 paddlers, group of 4, group of 6 doing diamond rotations and wash leads at training. That's where the importance of that particular drill and skill comes into it during training. So being able to accelerate in a pack formation and put your ski where it needs to be and get the most efficient wash. If you look at these girls out in front, really good technique, especially the girl on the grey ski, Good technique, good leg drive, hip rotation. She's using a lot of muscle groups to accelerate the blade through the water. Go back, and fortunately they've done a replay for us, and again, the importance of surf work. The girl out in front just paddles straight into it. Again, Logan sort of mistimes that wave, but gets over there quite cleanly. We sort of missed the lead into the first turn from those leading paddlers here, but as we come up to here, and we sort of freeze frame it right there. Now this is relevant regardless, again, if you're an under-17 paddler, a masters paddler, an elite open paddler. What Logan's done really well here is that she's got the inside run out of those 4 skis at the first turning can. If you're on the inside and everyone's fairly much level, you have to be somewhat in the lead. So she's probably ahead by maybe not even a foot. But what that does, it forces the outside paddlers to give her room at the lead at the first can. If, as the inside run on the first can out of those 4 skis, if she was back by a quarter of a length, half a length, it's much easier for those outside paddlers then to cut her off and push her into that can. So again, we freeze it there, and this shows perfectly what we're just talking about. Those outside 3 paddlers are forced to give Logan room on that first can. If any one of those paddlers on her left, on her outside, were ahead, they've much more likely, especially in open races or in other races, they're much more likely to cut across, and the inside paddlers are at the mercy. So if you're ever got the lead, if everyone's pretty much on an equal pegging and you're going into the turn and you're on the inside run at it, try and remember that you have to get up and sort of dominate and dictate terms of what's going to happen next. Now in contrast, if you watch what happens at the apex turn here, the girl on the blue ski sort of leading in front of Logan. If we freeze it right about there, Logan's on the inside, that girl on the blue ski on the outside. You can see the change of direction where the girl on the blue ski has cut Logan off. That automatically means that Logan's going to be forced to either bump into her, turn really hard on a right rudder, whatever it does, she's going to lose speed out of that turn rather than just running through it. That was a good contrast between the first and the second can of exactly what can happen. Kiara looks like she gets around there nice and smooth and keeps quite a bit of speed, which she actually gains on those paddlers in front of her. So by now, pretty much the whole field is around the cans and everyone's on their run home. Now the lead girl here on the grey ski, she's doing a fantastic job. She's got really good technique. She's hungry for it. She's pushing really hard for most of the runs. You can see her here just chasing a runner. One of the things I want everyone to have a look at here, and this actually costs her the race. You're going to see a side-on shot in a second where she really pushes hard for a run. Now, just drops off a little bit and she won't back off at all. She chases the next one. Now, if we go along a little bit more, she's chasing and frees it about there. Now, this will sound overly critical of her, but you could argue that had she'd kept chasing that run for a little bit more, kept looking ahead and not turn around when the ski is actually dying, that she probably might have gained maybe a half a length, quarter of a length, sometimes 3/4 of a length or even a full length. Where that will become important is now as she sets up for this next one. So she's already given herself about a ski length and a half lead. She gets on top of this. Now go back and remember that extra half a length maybe that she might have got, and look at that there. Put her another half a length in front of where she is now, and pretty much she's on the lead wave, sitting there, not taking a stroke, coming in to claim a state title. So unlucky there, but one other thing I want to pick up on is that little trough there. We spoke about it with Chris in the men's board final. Whenever you drop off a wave, there is always a little trough behind it. This girl pushes really hard for it, and unfortunately just it flattens out a little bit, and then she gets caught in the worst possible position for any athlete in no man's land there, with paddlers coming from behind who have got plenty of speed on her, got momentum. And there are lots of different strategies, lots of different techniques when this does happen to you. At the end of the day, you've just got to hope for the best and go at the line as hard as you can. So she went from having the ultimate race and being out in front and doing a great job all the way around, and potentially could have won it, to unfortunately finishing fourth. Logan finishes off very well on the far end of the course there, and then as we look at Kiara coming in here, Her technique is definitely improved. It's still a little bit arm dominant with the paddling, but a lot better on the drive through the legs and the rotation through the hips. So both girls did extremely well. Great race, and hopefully you got something out of that.